Good afternoon. Today we are finishing up our unit. We are working on continuing to work with the slope. So today we are doing PO51. I can find the slope of a line given two ordered pairs. So our last objective, we learned about the slope, and now we're going to work a little bit more with it. So our slope, remember we already learned this, our slope is how a line moves across the coordinate plane. So remember, it's how that line goes either up or down as we go across. James? Yeah.
Well, we already wrote it.
Right. And why do you think we're writing it again? Because it's that important. Okay, we need to remember it. So even though we've already written it, we're writing it again because this is our PO. It's saying, hey, this is important stuff. So remember our slope formula, we could say it was that rise over the run. Another way of saying it is the change in X, or sorry, change in Y over the change in X, right? Change in Y is on top, going the up and down. Change in X is going across. So now this is important. This is the new one. So on this page, when you're given two coordinate pairs, we can look at it as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we're going to see what that means. It's new, so when we hear it, we go, wait, what was it? I'm going to show you how we use those two ordered pairs to plug in our x's and our y's. And it's going to show us the slope super easy. So we don't always have to graph it and count up or down and then count across. I'm showing you how to do it with the big math because we're learning and growing in that big kid math. So I'm showing us how to find the slope without actually graphing it. So we are going to graph it today so we can check our work and make sure we're doing it correctly. But in the future, we'll be able to use this formula without having to make the graph to find the slope. So it doesn't matter which ordered pair we start with, just go the same way for x and y. So this x and y up here are our ordered pairs. So if we have y2 and x2, that's an ordered pair. y1 and x1, that's an ordered pair. Okay, so you're going to determine which one you're going to call your first and which one you're going to call your second. Also, we're going to double check that the y values are in the numerator and the x values are in the denominator. So just like here, we had the change in y over the change in x. We need the y on top and the x's on the bottom. It's super easy to forget that. People just naturally want to put x on top, y on bottom. You have to remember, y's are on top with the slope, x's are on the bottom with the slope. The rise is the going up and down. That's our y's. That's always on top. So we're going to use the points to graph the line. So our first step is graphing our line. Our second step is finding the slope of the line using the graph. So that's what we did in our last objective. That part's not new. Then we're going to do C. We're going to use the formula to find the slope of the line using the points, and we need to show our work. What are we subtracting on top? What are we subtracting on the bottom? And we should get, we're checking our answer means we get the same slope. Okay, So we're doing it both ways to make sure that we're doing this new formula correctly, because then in the future, we're just going to use this formula instead of doing the graphing. But we're doing both today to make sure that we're doing it correctly. So I'm gonna scroll up so we can see better. So I'm going to rewrite, oops, jumped down on me. I'm going to rewrite my formula so I can see it. We had y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, and we know it's rise over run. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is graph our line. So that's the A. We have to graph our line. We have 2, 1, then we have 3, 5, and we're gonna draw our line with our arrows. Okay. My second step is to find the slope. So I always start on the left and I go up or down. Our line goes up, so it's going to be positive. So I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know my rise is 4, and I go over 1. So my slope is 4 over 1. So I'm at 4 over 1. Now I'm going to use my new formula and see if I get the same answer. So I'm going to call this ordered pair my 1s, this one's my 2s. Doesn't matter which way we do it, but I just picked it this way. So I'm going to put y2, my y2 is 5, minus my y1, which was 1. And I put that over x2 minus my x1. So 5 minus 1 equals 4, 3 minus 2 equals 1. Checking my answer, saying, hey, I got the same slope. That makes sense? Let's do another one together. Just make sure that we're getting it. James?
For the rest of them, do we have to do it this way or?
Well, what do our directions say, James?
Oh, yeah.
If the directions say you need to do all 4 steps, you need to do all 4 steps. We do the work to make sure it's sinking into the brain, right? So yes, we understand it, we're getting it, but this is making sure that it's really sinking in. This is a power objective. We really want to understand it because we have to. We will have math building on itself. So if we look at our next one, do yours on your paper and you're going to see if you get the same answers that I get. So I'm going to do mine quietly to myself. You do yours, and let's see if we end up the same. So our first step was graphing our 2 pairs and then drawing the line. So your line should look similar to my line. Then we found our slope off of the graph. We went up 1, so since we were going up, we knew it was positive. We went over 3, so I got 1 over 3. Then I used my ordered pairs. I called my first one 1 and my second one 2. Sometimes people like to flip them so they don't go into negative numbers. Just know that if you have a negative on top and a negative on bottom, it's going to be a positive, right? If you have negative, negative, you'll end up with a positive answer. So that's why sometimes people might call this one and this one too. So that way they get that positive right away to begin with. But if I did this one as my 2's, these are gonna be my first numbers. 5 on top, 3 on bottom. Because it's y over x minus y over x minus 4 over 0. 5 minus 4 was 1, 3 minus 0 is 3. And I got the same answer. So that was checking my work. Show me your thumbs. How are you feeling with this new formula? We're feeling pretty confident. You came in late, so yep, we'll get you caught up. All right, so this is our first page. We're going to do more of this. Well, let's look at our second page. Use the slopes, so use the points to graph the line, find the slope, use the formula, do your answers match, exact same steps. So you're doing the exact same thing on the second page. And since we were feeling confident about it, I'm going to let us work on our own. I have my answers up front when you want to come and check to see if you're getting it. Remember, your 2 slopes, no matter which way you do it, you should get the same answer. So if you're getting a different answer, you're going to say, oh, I went wrong somewhere. Where did I go wrong? And if you're having a hard time figuring out where you went wrong, that's when you come see me. You don't go, oh, well, this one must be the right one. No, you have to check to see where was your mistake, because you don't know which one is the correct one and which one was the wrong one. So always find that mistake. For my friends at home, we hope you are well. We hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful